So the biggest question that can this iPad replace a MacBook or a laptop in general? Let's find out. A regular iPad Pro, Air, or a base model iPad cannot replace a MacBook or a laptop because laptop and MacBooks are really powerful, and a iPad cannot just do the work as well as laptop or MacBook. It cannot replace the iPad at all. Why? Because for a single fact, because you cannot edit as much. You don't have much variety of apps that you can use. With this iPad, it's really good for day-to-day tasks like checking email, writing, drawing. The reason why a iPad can never be a MacBook because it cannot really run your workflow smoothly as of. You cannot run heavy apps such as coding if you're a coder. You're some sort of engineer. If you do some CAD software. Of course, I know MacBooks cannot run CAD software, but in general, for if you're a uni student or any sort of student that is going to school or planning to go to school, I would recommend you guys would go get yourself a MacBook or a laptop rather than an iPad. An iPad could never replace your laptop or MacBook because it doesn't have half of the things. So if I had a Magic Keyboard, I had one, and I never really used it because the way a MacBook feels, it can never be an iPad. Of course, an iPad is really great for browsing, doing some light work, editing. Portability comes with it, and if you're like an email sort of a guy, or you just use your apps, or you need to check video, Netflix, or any sort of those things, an iPad would be a perfect fit for you. If you write on your iPad, drawing, or any sort of things, that is a perfect thing for an iPad, and this is what an iPad is meant for. But for a MacBook, you can never replace a MacBook because you don't get the same apps, you don't get the same variety. If you have an iPhone or any sort of that thing, of course you can edit on the iPad. But if you're using a camera, especially a DSLR, Canon camera, or any 8K, 4K camera, there's no way an iPad could run. Of course, if you maximize to the fullest, I don't really believe in that. I think a MacBook would be a best thing to buy as your workflow. Or versus a Mac OS is a way different experience and quality difference. I think iPad is for an iPad thing and MacBook is for a MacBook thing. And of course, it can write better. Of course, if you are a light user, it's a best fit for you, especially for school. I don't really recommend for school at all, unless if you know that your program or anything, your related courses will not be that heavy. Then of course go with an iPad. But if you know you'll be heavy, you only have one laptop and you have to basically get your work done, I would recommend a MacBook Pro, Air, doesn't matter. But again, if you're a coder, any sort of that type of, if you're in that type of area, I would recommend a MacBook Pro because it just has better qualification or needs that you might need in the future. And for Air, an Air is absolutely game changer as of right now, and M5 is pretty good, and you can buy that. You can really get, if you can edit your videos, you can really do everything. But of course it doesn't really match the MacBook Pro. Of course every MacBook or any device has their own specific area they are designed to be used in. So yeah, basically yeah, that's what I said. So yeah, you can, one thing I love about iPad is basically I can make a video from my phone anytime I want and then airdrop it and then quickly edit my videos on the iPad. You have more control over it than a phone, an iPhone, anything. Or of course, if you're a MacBook, go with the MacBook. But with the iPad, it's a game changer. But if you're using a DSLR camera, I would recommend you guys go with the. It could never compete with an iPad. When you have a DSLR camera, you need to have a MacBook or any sort of a big device that could handle your 4K, 8K resolutions. So an iPad could never, and then of course the iPad Pro could, but there's a certain extent, and then the price you're paying, I'd rather pay for a Mac. Housing and a lot of work around that area, and yes, I need a Pencil Pro, so that really matches my workload, and especially for designing an idea, typing, signing, an iPad does come in handy. But of course, you can do the same thing in an iPad base model one, the A16 or A17 chip. They released it, I believe. I'm not sure. But the base model can handle everything if you're not editing any videos. If you're planning to edit your videos on an iPad, especially on Final Cut Pro, then go with the M4, the latest chip right now there is. And if you need to buy 11-inch or 13-inch, it depends on a person to person. For me, I bought a 13-inch one because it's really big. I feel like for me, I had to do a lot of PDF splits and then look at some documents and a lot of stuff from my office. And overall, I felt like an iPad would be a perfect match for me. And the 11-inch one at the time was too small of a screen for my workload and everything. So yeah, I think if this is your main device, go with the 13-inch one. And if you're planning to, if you also have a MacBook laptop, or plus you're gonna use an iPad and an iPhone, I think you can buy 11-inch one perfectly fine. The base model will perfectly work for you, but especially if you're editing, playing games for hours and long hours, I think I think the Air will come in handy for you and last you longer than a base model iPad. Yeah, it really depends on a person to person. Again, iPad, MacBook, iPhones, Apple Watches, laptops, everything is basically really up to you people, and for you to guys decide what is the best needs right now you guys need it for. For me, I felt like having a lot of everything is pretty perfect for my workload. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye bye.